Let's see. Oh, we're live.
Got it? Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. I am live with Kate Crawford, who is the founder of Core Breathwork, and her work is like nothing I've ever experienced. And you guys know that I am really here for a spiritual experience. I have done so many different kinds of breath work and healing work and like psychic readings and Akashic records and all kinds of different stuff. And I can say with complete certainty that the experience that I had with Kate was not like anything that I've ever experienced before. And I also have Maureen Webb, who is another brilliant graduate of angelic alchemy. And Maureen, I don't even know. You were the founder of Wild Doe Studios and you make these incredible fragrances. You are also, you know, a ton about astrology. You've done a lot and you've shifted so much so fast in the past year that it's almost impossible for me to like explain who you are and what you do, because you came here to really help people to ground into who they are and to really be an advocate for community and to help be a bridge between the 3D and the 5D. You are a retired police officer and you recently relocated to very sunny, beautiful, enchanting Arizona. So you got that desert glow to you right now, which I of course love. So I am super happy to be here with both of you. Really, really just incredibly honored. I was telling both of them before we got started that I was reflecting back on the ways that both of them have really shifted and aligned into who they are and their talents in the past year. And of course, because I'm me, I started to get very emotional. I couldn't be more proud of both of you and just like truly inspired by what I have witnessed both of you do in the past year. Lean into who you are and just like really embody the truth of who you are with an unstoppable level of self-trust. So welcome to both of you. You are so welcome. Why don't you, I know I just introduced both of you, but why don't you both just like talk a little bit about who you are and from your perspective, what you do.
Kate?
Sure, I'll go first. So my name is Kate Crawford. My background is in physical therapy. And I had transitioned out of healthcare about a year ago, around the same time that I found breathwork. And very early on in my breathwork journey, it was made very clear to me that this was going to be my modality of choice to help my clients really connect with themselves on a more spiritual level, really kind of connect in with what they need and what their body is actually telling them based on kind of like the physical symptoms that are showing up in their body. So the business that I created, Core Wellness, really kind of does a deep dive into all of the metaphysical aspects behind how that discomfort is showing up in your body. And I kind of blend that with my traditional background in physical therapy, although it ends up just being more like mindful movement stuff and energy work. And it's just awesome. I love doing it.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
So before I introduce myself, I would also like to give testament to Kate's amazing abilities with breath work. I was terrified of breath work, and I actually told her that before I had even gotten a session from her. I was completely terrified of it. And she put me at ease and we did some really, really solid work. So I cannot say enough.
That was such a beautiful session. I remember that one.
Oh my God. I know you're gonna like make me cry, Andrea. You're worried about crying. Like I'm gonna be the one that bawls my eyes out. So yeah. So my name is Maureen. I am the founder and creator of all things Wild Doe Healing Studio. I have kind of two sections of my stuff that I do because my mind is going blank right now. I do products, and those are my intention, chakra, and smudge sprays. I also have roller balls, anything having to do with self-care and healing. I make it a spray with essential oils and crystals, and I put so much love and care and energy into them. They really just helped me become who I am. And then I also have the coaching side that is still kind of like under construction, but we're getting there. I actually just today officially graduated from my health and life coaching certification program. Yay! So I have a little certification thing now, and there's going to be some fun stuff that I'm actually going to be doing soon. I have a free vision board workshop that I'm doing on Saturday that I am so excited about because, like Andrea said, I have been learning and doing astrology since I was like 13, and I'm 43. I have just, I love it. I do astrology, I do Reiki, I do tarot cards. I'm learning the Akashic records. I'm learning human design. I'm learning gene keys, anything spiritual, any modality that allows me to dig deeper and to be able to help other people dig deeper. Like that's my jam. So, that's what I love to do. And in the next couple of months, I'm gonna have some stuff coming out that kind of combines all of that, this big toolbox, into this really, really great container. So I'm really stoked about it.
That's so exciting.
It's so exciting. It's so beautiful too, because to think about the fact that you have been on this journey for such a long time, that's like part of my journey too, is that I've been on this real metaphysical, just like deep dive from a very young age. And I feel like for all of us, like you two both are people who have these incredible spiritual gifts and both found ways. Certainly you've both moved into like a new way of using them, but I think it's so interesting to look at the ways that people who have these incredible spiritual gifts essentially like hustled a way to be able to use them in 3D. Kate, you did physical therapy, which we know is more of like a traditional 3D modality. Maureen, you worked as a police officer. And to me, both of those things make perfect sense because when I tap into something like the energy of who becomes a police officer goes into something like law enforcement, I literally, my guides always show me this image of like a knight in shining armor, people who literally incarnated to build community and to be part of, to basically be part of like a protective community force. And certainly, we're at a intriguing time from the perspective of like where we were and where we're going. Certainly, something like law enforcement, things like medicine, there's a lot of room to grow and to shift and to really change things. But both of you, one thing that I really appreciated immediately about both of you is that you both found ways to take these gifts that you have and create a level of 3D success. And then when it was time, essentially, right? Like we were not at a point in human history for a very long time for those of us who have these incredible gifts to be able to really like own them in a way that now the energy on the planet, like my guides tell me all the time, the energy has really shifted. So not only is it really important for all of us who have those talents to start to see how we can take those gifts that we were born with and integrate them into essentially the new like language and the new way that we interact with the world, and everything has shifted. So now you get to take that desire that you had to build community and to be here for people and in your, you know, and to like use all of that in a way that works within for you. And the same with you, Kate, like taking your interest in helping people embody their wisdom and to feel physically safe and to feel really grounded in their human experience. And I've had, you guys know, I have been in so many car accidents, it's like embarrassing to admit it, but but what I have had some remarkable experiences with physical therapy. As like I had some experiences where it didn't really help me, but I've also had experiences where it did really help me. And I'll tell you, the difference between when it did and did not help me was about me. It wasn't about what anyone else was doing. It was about what I was emotionally, physically, spiritually receptive to at the time. And, you know, of course, like we all have our unique gifts and talents, but I think that's one of the biggest parts of like what I see as the transition that we're moving from, like the old paradigm, if you will, and then where we're moving into. And I think that this is one of the things that I hold space for in a really very special and unique way, is that it's time now for all of us, especially the women who incarnated to really take on these roles as new earth leaders and people who really help to like usher people into where we're going, where our spiritual gifts are literally, my guides say it all the time, our greatest currency. As we move through all of the shifts that we're going to continue, we've been witnessing them for the past few years, and where we're moving as a collective, we need people like both of you to really like find their voice, to feel super confident, because there are billions of people on the planet who are just starting to remember who they are, and they need people like us to be able to say, you know what, this thing about you that you've always felt like made you too different or too sensitive, or like all of the ways that society judges all of the spiritual gifts, that it's literally like the time now, everything has shifted. It's time for all of us to really lean back into that. And it was prophesized for thousands of years. Like if you look back at history, you can see that in countless different religions and saints and sages and people who were psychics. And I mean, it's just incredible, because this window of time that we're in now was literally destined to be a time where everyone really did start to remember who they were from a divine perspective. And both of you have found these extremely unique and really beautiful ways of articulating and sharing that with the world and holding space for the people that you are here to guide. And I love that so much. So would you, I know, Maureen, right? You found me through a podcast, which I absolutely love. And you had a time, I'll let you tell us more about it. I won't try to steal your thunder, but
That's okay.
when you found me, you were going through a big point of personal transition, and you heard my story, and you were like, one thing I really loved about you, and I was just like so enthused from the minute, is you took this massive leap of trust. Like you were going through a really big window of personal transition. Everything was changing for you. The world was like, hello, it's time for you to start to really embrace the stuff that you had been studying, what amounts to your entire life, and to take it and turn it into something really big. And the minute that you and I did a session with each other, I was like, oh my God, who is this brilliant, fucking beautiful genius who came here to inspire people in such a big way? And you took a massive, you heard me, you booked a session, we did it, and then you jumped into angelic alchemy, and it was remarkable to watch you go through that container, because not only did you physically heal from some things that you had been working through at the time, but you started Wild Doe Healing Studios. And it was so funny because you didn't imagine that was one of the ways, right? You have multiple different ways that you help people and hold space for them, but it was so wild too, because it just happened so fast. Like you were just like, and I started doing this thing. And then because of who you are, right, it just like catalyzed and took off in this way that has been remarkable. So will you just tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so to preface everything, I have a lot of fire in my chart. I'm an Aries sun with an Aries Mars and an Aries Mercury with a Leo ascendant and a Capricorn moon. So when I do things, they're fast. Like that's just, I don't know the word slow. Like it didn't even sound good coming out of my mouth. Like, so one of the things about that is that I also have a very hard head and I'm very stubborn and I don't listen to the little voice. It has to be something ginormous to actually, shake me. And what you alluded to was I was on the way one morning to go work out because I had worked out 6 days a week for the longest time. And I was just going to the gym. And I wound up having to swerve to avoid getting T-boned and hit a tree. I totaled my car and I wound up, thank God, the only injury I had was an injury to my knee. And I wound up having surgery. So I wound up having to go on the medical. And first surgery in my life. And I'm sitting there and I can't walk, I can't do anything. I don't know how to not move. So I actually had started listening to podcasts because you can do that laying down and sitting down. And I heard the Chelsea Rife one with your voice, and I heard your voice and I was like, yep, nope, I need a session. That's it. These Akashic record things, they sound like fun. I need a session. So I booked a session and you were absolutely delightful and it was absolutely amazing. And I started Angelic Alchemy and I met Kate and Erica and Nova, and it was just so beautiful. Like to be held in that space. One of the issues I had was like, I was really afraid to tell people what I did for a living. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, I'm not blind or naive to the fact that when I tell people that I'm a police officer, they would be like, like I understand. I'm not stupid. Like I'm not stupid. And it just kind of came about that through this, through Angelic Alchemy, through other things, I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to be the police anymore. That's it. And then after, well, I think it was like maybe 1 or 2 sessions, I was in meditation and all of a sudden just the idea of smudge sprays came to me. Like, I was like, I don't know what this is. And I just started writing shit down. And I remember coming into class and be like, I think I started a business. I don't know. I was a police officer for 16 years. I don't know how to be an entrepreneur. Like it was just like wild and crazy, and the support and the love and just everything. Like, man, it's such a trip. It's such a journey. It's so much fun. I just like, I can't say enough. And like now I live in Sedona. I retired early, and my goal was to always live in Sedona. I came to Sedona for the first time 7 years ago, and every opportunity, every vacation that I had, I came back here. It was like my heart is here. I just, after my, just all the, anytime, if I could even get 3 days, I would fly from Chicago out to Phoenix and come here to Sedona. I was like, I am going to live here one day. And man, like these rocks, they just, it's like they hold me. And I know that sounds absolutely silly, but it just the love and the feeling of home. And it just like, now I can say that I am literally living my dream. I live in Sedona. I get to see red rocks every day. I see the sunrise, I see the sunset. It's just effing magical. And I actually get to live my purpose. And I am in harmony with my purpose and my magic. And it's just without me starting with angelic alchemy, I can truly say that I don't think that I would be here right now. You, angelic alchemy, and you and everybody in that container were the catalyst for me to live the life that I get to live every single day. Like, I look out my window and I see red rock. Like, what? Like, that's so awesome. Like, I love it. And I just, yeah. I can't even remember the question you asked me. I'm so sorry. I went on a tangent.
You, of course, I told both of you before we started this that there was like a 0% chance that I wouldn't cry. Because this is literally, so you guys have heard me say this before, but this is what I always dreamed of doing, right? Like, I always, from the time I was a little kid, could see the truth of who people were and it's been a mixed bag because I'm so psychic, and the energy that I channel the energy of the ascended masters and the archangels and all kinds of different interdimensional energy. And I've always been able to see what I started sort of understanding to be a couple of years ago as people's like original soul blueprint. So when I meet people and I start working with people, I can see essentially your highest potential. It makes it so that in some ways, right, I had to go on a journey, a lifelong journey of being able to be grounded in the present and sort of acknowledge where people are as opposed to what they're capable of. But it's one of my greatest superpowers is I can see all of these parts of people in their completeness. And I can see what people have the capacity to do if they trust themselves and they reconnect to that divine vibration. It makes us genuinely unstoppable. And I feel like, especially with you, Maureen, to see how remarkable your journey has been and how you were able to just trust yourself and say, like, this is what my life had been like, but this is where I want to go. And you moved so remarkably fast. And that's another thing my guides always, they literally show me, and I talk about this all the time. And I had a client session with someone last week, and it was funny because she's actually studying mathematics. And so I was telling her about what my guides always show me, which is that the multiplication symbol is not complete, and that we'll move perhaps into a world where people understand it, but that the multiplication symbol is actually supposed to be the infinity symbol, because it's essentially the multiplying things. It's not just about what you give out to the world, it's also about how you receive that magic back. And it's basically this like brilliant trust fall. And I feel like with you, especially, like being held in that energy, the speed that you already have, like all of those aspects of your chart, but then being in my energy, like 2 years ago, I was disabled. And I have seen in my own life, my guides always tell me that the thing about me is that I incarnated to basically show myself in the world how quickly we can move if we fall into that like sense of just divine trust and alignment. And watching you literally call in your dreams in such a short window of time, really go even deeper in your journey and just start to do these incredibly remarkable things. I facilitated a retreat a couple of weeks ago. Just one of my dreams is to do like the sound healing and the light language and the energy work in person. And I had a bunch of your sprays with me that I used to like clear the room and ground the energy. And every time I am a real hoe for beauty, which you both know, love beauty, love it, love it, love it. And so I wear your sprays as fragrance. I use them to clear. I often have them like on client calls and I'll spray them and I'll be like, definitely buy this. So I have seen the way that your work and your magic ends up having such a really beautiful impact on people. Like I used a bunch of your sprays right before I did this live group healing, and people were like, what is that? That is so just like you have this ability. I've worked in cosmetics. I worked for a luxury British cosmetics company that made tons of fragrances for many years. And so I have like a very personal affinity for all things that are beauty related. And one of the things that my guides have always told me is that for everyone on this planet to really ground into and remember the fact that beauty is actually a portal to the divine is part of this reclamation of the divine feminine that we're moving through. And that it's a really, even like that idea, right? The sort of narrative that we hear from the external about how beauty is frivolous and da 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 da. It's like women both have to be beautiful, but also are treated like morons when they are. It's like this like really real planet Earth BS basically. And you, for the way that you hold space for people to step into that energy of like being embodied and really just like feeling this vibration of comfort and trust and beauty, and fragrance changes that. It makes it so that we are able to really remember things about who we are in both conscious and unconscious ways. So I am so here for what you have created, and even like everything that you have so much more of yourself that you're going to start to be sharing with the world. And I like truly can't fucking wait to like see how this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. So Kate, will you tell us a little bit about your journey? And you guys, before she starts, I know I already mentioned this at the beginning, but Kate and I met in a group container that we were in, and she made an offering to everyone who was in the group to get, so this is before you had started actually like charging people for breath work. And I did a session with you. I remember I was laying in my bed and we were on the call, and I remember I just had this like remarkable moment of being like, holy freaking cannoli. This woman has a level of sight and ability to be able to see the truth of who we are that I've experienced it a few times in my life, but it is an unusual capacity that you hold. And I remember just being like, who is this? Like, what on earth? Like, what you are throwing down is so, you're so like, what you have the ability to do for people is very special. So yeah, tell us more about that, please.
Thank you. Well, it's fun when I'm listening to Maureen talk and she's just like, I just go. And I am like the most indecisive person on the planet. I've had a neo assessment done, and it's like backed scientifically that I will take the longest time to make a decision out of a room of like 10,000 people. I'm like the longest one. So this journey for me has been maybe a little bit more, just more like baby steps, I think. Just kind of coming into this and owning that and working with people in this way. It has taken me a little bit longer, I think, to kind of like ease into it. But at a soul level, like I just need gentle and easy, and I need to be making decisions from a place of knowing. And that was really that was it for me when I started this journey about a year and a half ago, like really spending money on it and putting myself first. That was it. And I'd never really felt that way before. I'm extremely empathic. And so what I had kind of felt prior to understanding what that actually meant for me was just a lot of heaviness. So the journey for me has just been about kind of like just moving through these layers of letting go of a lot of stories and patterns, a lot of which was other people's stuff. And when I first met Andrea, I knew that I needed to work with her. It took a bit of time to make the decision, as it normally does. But what has completely changed my life, and having this huge part of me who I absolutely am, is just this wide open empath, but being able to be very unapologetic about that in a way that I'm completely unapologetically just taking full agency over that and like how I want to feel. And it has been it has given me like new life in a way. I just didn't know that I could feel this way. I had no idea that I could just feel kind of like calm and grounded, and it could be available to me like anytime. And so for me to be able to kind of step into this business fully, I've really needed to be able to like solidify this routine for myself that works for me. And Andrea, you've had such a huge part in helping me develop that. And it is a staple in my day. It's a staple with all my client work. Yeah, like I never would have been able to, and you were one of my first people I did breath work with. So like the feedback that you gave me, you know, it's been so helpful. You know.
And it's so interesting because you possess this, again, verified by science through the NEO assessment.
I need the science.
You need, and you know what's so funny, because I am so, I mean, you guys know, I've literally channeled light language and talked to my guides from the time I was a baby. But there's this other way where like I'm hyper nerdy. I want the data. And I've realized in the past, especially like month or two, my ability, now that I'm 2 years officially into having working with this, I've always been doing energy work for people, but actually having it be formally a business, now I have 2 years worth of data that shows me the way that people shift in my field. And one of the hardest parts for anyone who possesses a level of high empathy is that because you can feel people's feelings, and you know this world is so, being a human is just, it's a real thing, right? And when you're an empath, you can literally feel people's pain. And you, because of who you are, you have this ability to like really know in a deep way that's hyper powerful and makes you able to contribute rather in a really dynamic way. But the flip side of that is that you and many people who have a very high level of empathy end up in situations where you're literally taking on other people's karma, drama, and pain because you know how bad it feels and you don't want them to have to feel it. But then it ends up creating this messy situation where like our nervous systems, our human experience, like we end up essentially like blown out and just like constantly overwhelmed. And so it creates this complex thing where like, yeah, it's a massive gift. It makes it so that you're able to really do something very singular and special. But you also have to really have very, very strong energetic boundaries and like release the feeling that you, I know, really had and needed to move out of feeling this like profound level of responsibility for literally everyone, like just random people that you pass by on the street, never mind your family and your friends and your clients. And it's just, but there's this way where like I often see with people who have the kind of empathy that you do, sort of these images of things like I had a client a couple of years ago who I was reading for who had worked in the school system. And I saw this, her guides showed me this image of her. She had basically created, I'm laughing because it's like, so the way that we try to self-correct and hold space when we are that kind of empathic, she basically had this like elaborate metal outfit that she had created that had literally like 10,000 hooks attached to it, which were all of the families that she had worked with, the kids, the people in the community. And the thing about it is that doesn't all that does is create a situation where, yes, it's coming from a good place for people who are empathic, because we really want to help people, but we have to clear that stuff, because at the end of the day, we are not responsible for anyone except ourselves. And it's like it's a delicate dance, because on the one hand, you came here to contribute. But in order for you to contribute, you really needed to fortify those boundaries. And that's something that I started working on at a very young age. I started meditating when I was 17. A couple of years later, I learned this other kind of meditation called the Flower of Life. And that was one of the big things that I always really worked on, was basically finding ways to protect my own energy. And it was a journey. Messy. It was real. I mean, sometimes it was just like genuinely embarrassing and uncool, but it really showed me over the course of my own life how to do that energetic work, how to both clear the things that are not ours and really fortify ourselves from an energetic perspective. And I say this all the time, like, energy work and the way that I know I uniquely work with people has this ability to help people step into these next level versions of themselves. Because once we can clear that trauma and just those things that we've been carrying around that are not ours, that really legitimately they cause so many different, like, anxiety and physical health problems and chronic illness, if we don't address them, as we can clear that stuff out and realign back and like fortify our energetic boundaries, it always leads to calling in more money. It always leads to more opportunity, more joy, feeling more embodied. And one of the reasons that it works is because when you can sort of get rid of that emotional bag of rocks that you've been carrying around for everybody else, it creates this incredible amount of energy and time and space to be like, okay, literally cleared out like 5 billion tons of energetic garbage. And then you start to feel physically safe in your body and comfortable. And you're able to hear the guidance and act on it in a way where you're not always being emotionally drained by your gift. And then you're like, wait, my gift is actually really fucking cool. I just needed to sort of learn how to take care of myself first, so that then it's like the thing of when you're on an airplane and they're like, put your mask on first, right? We're not told that that's actually the truth of what needs to happen. We're told from so many different parts of society that, like, we always, especially as women and gifter, healers and all of this, that we have to always be like focused on helping the world and healing the world. But we can't do that unless we put our own oxygen mask on first.
Yeah, it's so important. And like, I've identified with having debilitating anxiety for my entire life. Like, I came out of my mom just like and it comes to tell me something, or I have to lean into it, but I don't have it all the time. And really, that has only shifted since I've started routinely just like clearing out everything else. And I know that I'm not the only one that feels this way. I also feel that there's a lot of women in healthcare who are in kind of like these helping professions, who are also just overly empathic, like beautifully empathic, and they know that they just want to help, but yeah, it's just kind of those cultural narratives, and it's just it's misguided. And like, I can say for the last, since I've started doing this regularly, like, it's been about 3 months, and I don't wake up with anxiety anymore. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it completely changes you to really start to do that work and to like essentially regroup and really go deep in your own experience. And it does. I mean, I struggled with anxiety and depression and PTSD and chronic illness and all of this stuff. And I remember someone saying to me sort of early at the beginning part of my journey of starting my business, saying, you, as your boundaries strengthen, as you disconnect from these patterns of codependency that I had employed with, I mean, to be quite honest, literally everybody that I had ever met, because again, I was someone who could like feel the pain of the world and I wanted to help everybody. But one of the big things that I think I always see, and my guides always remind me and tell me, is that like we can't actually save anyone. The only thing that we can really do is hold space for people to step into the version and the truth of who they really are. And that requires, it's both really easy and it's also a huge leap of faith, and it's really freaking hard. Yeah. So I am in awe of everything that you have done and the ways that you've been really able to like shore up your own experience, because the world needs you. We need your medicine. We need this really beautiful way that you help people to be able to understand who they are and to start to feel a lot more comfortable and safe in their human bodies. And then it leads to this, you know, people recover from things in a much different way. They're able to literally, people start to sound different and they look different and they start to just like move through the world in this really different way. And if you're always overwhelmed from an energetic perspective, it makes it impossible to be able to actually do the thing that you were born to do.
Yeah. So thank you.
You are so welcome. I really,
Okay, I just have to say one more thing.
Please.
With Kate's work, I think one big thing that people need to take away from that is that breathwork is self-care, and self-care is not selfish. So many times people think, oh, I want to do this for myself. And then they feel really bad about it. And I think that that's absolutely asinine.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why would you feel bad about taking care of the vessel that takes care of everybody else? So yeah, I felt the urge to say that, just because what you do, Kate, is so important. And what you do, Andrea, is so important to caring for us inside, because we need to give from a full cup. You can't give from an empty bottle. You just can't. It's impossible. So we have to fill ourselves up, care for ourselves before we can actually go out and give to other people who need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really does. It just makes it so that you're able to show up for yourself and for your community and all of the people, right? Like I always feel and am shown that like everyone that we're going to be helping in this life, we made those contracts with people in spirit long before we even incarnated. And so for us to be able to really do that as healers and empaths and people who came here to not just shift the narrative and inspire something new, but to really hold space for where we're going as a collective, in order for us to really be able to do that, self-care is so freaking important. And doing the things that are going, like breath work can be really emotionally evocative, and meditation can be really emotionally evocative. Healing work can be so emotionally evocative. Things like tarot and astrology and all of this stuff. I actually have always suspected that especially people who sort of scoff at it are actually in some way really triggered by the fact that in a deep soul way, they know that those things are true, and that it scares them because it can be very uncomfortable, as we have all just described, to have people be able to see us in a sense of completeness. I mean, it can be like, I am a spiritual genius as verified by the Neo assessment. I think it was described as like essentially having like the highest spiritual IQ that you can have in human form. That's so fucking cool. Good on me. I'm so proud of myself. It's a magical gift. And it is overwhelming. And I had to really get clear with myself in order to be able to hold space for all of you and everyone who has already come into my life and who is coming down the pike, to be able, like, I had to get crystal clear with myself to say, all right, this is like who my work is for. There are people who are not yet ready, perhaps, to like jump in the way that the two of you did. And that's okay. That, you know, like just looking at like friends of mine and family and sort of the shifts that have happened in the past couple of years, of me really just leaning fully into the fact that we have a responsibility to show up for ourselves first and foremost. And Maureen, the way you described it, serving, or not psych, I'm actively working on removing that word from my vocabulary, because I don't like like that idea of us like owing the world something. And one of my mentors always calls it the contribution. And so that idea of like creating an environment where we are a contribution, and we are doing it from that image of like an overflowing cup. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So I want to be respectful of both of your time. I deeply, deeply appreciate both of you like doing this and sharing your stories. Will you both let us know how we can get in touch with you? Because I know people are going to want to jump into your world. So,
Ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So I have a brand new website that is my little technology baby, changing all the time, but you can check that out. It's korewellness.ca. I'm on Instagram, KORE_breath, and you can find me on Facebook under Kate Crawford. I have a special right now. I've just launched my first one-on-one integrative wellness coaching container. So there's a special on there right now till end of day tomorrow. So you can check that out on my social media.
perfect. And of course, it's Mercury retrograde while we're recording this, and my computer was fully charged, and now it's telling me that it's going to be going to sleep. So ignore if you are watching this live, ignore my shuffling in the background. It is because I do not want to lose either of these beautiful treasures. We will make sure that everyone can get in touch with you, Kate and Maureen.
Yes. So I have a website, Wild Doe Healing Studio.com. My products and my coaching stuff are there. I am also, my favorite thing in the world is Instagram, and that's wild_doe_healing_studio_. I know there's a lot of underscores, but it is what it is. And one of my really good friends is coming down to Sedona next week, and apparently I'm getting a TikTok. I don't know, I'm scared, but we're doing it anyway. And yeah, I'm hosting a free vision board for the new moon in Libra on Saturday. It's a Zoom meeting. The link is in my bio, my Instagram, and it's free. If you sign up and you can't make it, I'm sending out the replay. And if you do register, there is a surprise at the end, and it might involve candle magic. I don't know.
Oh, I am so excited about this. And I have not been currently doing a lot on TikTok, but I always kind of go back and forth, and I will be jumping back into it at some point in the next like couple of weeks. And it's a fun platform, and I will talk to you offline. I have some little tricks that I learned about how to sort of repurpose.
I just did my first video today. This is so funny.
Well,
I was like, I don't want to post it. And I'm like, post it.
I learned, so one of the things that you can do, since we're talking about this, I will just leave you all with this. And I learned this in a workshop that I took. You can take a TikTok, and there are these programs that you can use on the internet that essentially removes the TikTok watermark. And then you can take your TikTok and reuse it on Instagram as a reel. It's
Mm.
a
Oh.
brilliant time saver. And what is funny is I have more, just like in a personal capacity, I tend to um vibrate a little bit more with Instagram. And so that for me was like a really powerful time saver to be like, oh, I can make a TikTok and then I can just like easily essentially repurpose it and share it again and again. And I feel like that kind of stuff, especially for all of us who are sensitive
Mhm.
and have, have to be really careful about our boundaries,
Mhm.
that way of like using things in a way that really works within for us is very powerful. So hot tip from me about TikTok and
Yeah, me and technology, not so good. Just like me and time zones.
Yeah.
But that's another
Yeah.
conversation for another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ladies, it has been
So
an honor and a pleasure. Oh my
It's
God.
nice
This
to see
made
you
me so
both.
happy to see both of your
love,
faces and
Yay.
smile. And thank you. Thank you
I
so
love both of you so much. Thank you both for taking the time to share about your experience. And I will talk to you both soon. Thank you, everyone who took the time to like tap in and listen. I love you both.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.